Unfortunately, I don't have screen recordings of how I worked on Exceptions, so I thought I would just record a quick walkthrough of the project. Exceptions is the first song that I've ever finished using my own AI a cappella method, which I outlined in my previous video. I'm obviously pretty proud of how everything turned out from this perspective, otherwise I wouldn't have released the song. Now, starting with the drums, there's not a lot I can say about them, to be honest. The only really important thing here is this little percussive tonal synth step, I guess, which is there to outline the sections basically because otherwise the drums would feel a little bit too repetitive. Now, repetitive drums or even progressions on their own are not always issues, but ideally there's at least one additional supporting element, which is outlining the arrangement just to make sure that you can keep track of the flow. So basically the whole point is that the song this way does not feel like just one big slab, but there are points which you can actively focus in the sense that you know that, hey, this is a downbeat. The bass is from this UAD Moog emulation synth. There's a Fatso on it for a little extra grit too. But the most important processing here is Soothe. It makes sure that the low mid-range never gets too overwhelming while also keeping the character the same. So it's just amazing. There's another layer of this acidish / Moog-ish kind of sound, but this time this is in a more plucky fashion and it's from Nexus. But again, it's with the same Soothe treatment. The main pluck melody is from Hive originally, with lots of automations applied both to the synth itself and also to the various inserts. And as you can see, I printed all these synths into audio, and there are basically 3 reasons for this. The first is that once I have too many automations to keep track of, I just kind of prefer to commit the ideas which I already like and then just go from there. The second is that Logic is not the best when it comes to automations, because these automations paired with third-party insert plugins can bring out too many artificial sounding clicks, pops, or just harshness in general. And these clicks and pops I can only properly really tame if the synth is printed into audio, because that's the only way how I can be sure that the clicks and pops will stay at the exact same places as where I'm trying to remove them from. And the third is that with every single automation, the playback gets a little slower or choppier due to the latency compensation. This can get so extreme, especially with certain third-party plugins, that from pressing the spacebar, it can take more than 2 seconds for the playback to start. So long story short, printing to audio solves all these headaches right away, and then I don't even really have to think about these sorts of things. One quick point to add here is while I'm still actively producing a song, even after printing to audio due to any of the previous points, I'll still keep the source synth with everything inside the project, just muted in a way to not take up resources. This is my usual vocal effects setup with a little widening, a delay, and a reverb. We'll talk about my usual setup in this regard in a future video. There's also a little trick here. I am automating up the Valhalla Supermassive during the build-ups to create a little more atmospheric rise. These are additional layers from Suno. Some takes are functioning as doubles, while some others are extensions of the lead vocals basically. All vocals are routed to a single bus where I apply sidechaining and compression and whatever else the vocals might need collectively. By doing this at the very end, I can make sure that the collective effects also apply to the individual vocal effects, so this for example means that there won't be any reverb or delay tail that will escape the sidechain pumping, or that there won't be any volume spikes due to the collective compression. Hope you enjoyed the song as much as I enjoyed working on it. Link to streaming and to the stems is in the description as always, and if maybe you want to remix the song, the acapella is also in the back. Thanks for watching.